compliance to the new GHS HCS standard. So keep an eye for that for the latest updates on letters of interpretation. So I think that's something we need to talk about here. The website, OSHA website, does have a lot of good information for that if you're looking for letters of interpretation. Certainly, some of the best and very epic debates we've had are pharmaceuticals. What are some general guidelines with how these things intertwine with the world of what we do? FDA, DOT, OSHA, EPA, you name the gamut, and what it means to pharmaceutical world.
I like how you changed it from arguments to debates. So when you started out with the introductory comments. So certain places are very clear. You think about a pharmaceutical being regulated by the FDA. They're going to regulate the process, that they have a CGMP, current good manufacturing practices, that they're repeatable, they're clean, those kinds of things. And yes, the process is, but the chemicals themselves, and quite often pharmaceuticals are extremely hazardous. Uh, they are still regulated by HAZCOM. The workers are being exposed. Where I get into an interesting dilemma, and this is a very, very gray area, is what is the regulation when the exposure is not there because everything is in a closed system. So to keep things clean, quite often everything is done and there is no employee exposure. And again, people say, well, what about if the gasket blows or this, that, or the other? And it's like, fine, that's emergency response. I don't have to prepare you for the overexposure for an emergency. I have to tell you what to do in the emergency, that if this happens, get your butt out of there. All right.
Mhm.
So, where when I have those systems, I'm saying, look, you're not exposing anybody there, so we're not worried about the exposure aspect. However, my question comes up is, what are you doing about maintenance? Now, you can have a CIP, clean in place, program in place, and everything goes through, and then you're worried about hazardous waste and things like that. Or if you're opening it up, then HAZCOM definitely applies. So again, it depends. Now, you and I, one of our favorite debates, as you call it, is talking about compounding pharmaceutical labs, or pharmacies, I should say. And they have a hazardous component and they're mixing it up with water or whatever. And while they're handling it, it's hazardous. It's not a final product. Yes, it's still regulated by the FDA, but it is an employee exposure. That one is definitely covered under HAZCOM. Now, once it's in its final product, it's in a container. If you've ever used Cipro, uh, if you ever have a little kid, you've always used Cipro. And you go into the pharmacy and they take the powder, they put it into the water, shake it up, and give it to you because it does degrade in the water and you only have a short period of time to use it. Once it's in that package, it's purely regulated by the FDA and it would be exempt from HAZCOM, is my opinion. You may have a difference of opinion. What about pills? Okay, are the components can be hazardous, and yes, you have to deal with that while you're making it. But now they go to the pharmacy, not a compounding pharmacy, your regular pharmacy, and they're counting out the pills. This is regulated by the FDA. And yeah, what happens if they, stand on their right foot during a solar eclipse? They open their mouth and pour 100 tablets down their throat and they're being overexposed. Let's do a real risk assessment. And when people say, well, what if, what if? Yeah, go back to your fundamentals of risk assessment of acceptable risk, unacceptable risk. And people often don't understand we need to get to an acceptable risk as opposed to no risk. I when I talk about risk assessment to people all the time, I ask, when you come to work, should you have no risk about being exposed? They say, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I ask, do you drive your car? Yeah. Do you have any risk? Yeah. Well, why are you taking a risk driving a car and you expect no risk at work?